Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for today's webinar presented by the National Disability Institute's Real Economic Impact Tour, titled Social Media Behind the Scenes. I'm Janet Hartnett, and I am the Director of the Real Economic Impact Tour at the National Disability Institute. Today's webinar is sponsored by our partners at Walmart. I would also like to thank our other Real Economic Impact Tour sponsors, Bank of America, Accord Therapeutics, Institute for Economic Empowerment, the Burton Institute at Syracuse University, and our wonderful partners, the IRS Stakeholder Partnership Communication Services. For those of you who may not know much about the National Disability Institute, we are a national nonprofit organization based in Washington, D.C. Mission is to promote income preservation and asset development for persons with disabilities. We're working to build a better economic future for persons with disabilities. The National Disability Institute, we support our mission with a variety of activities, including our work with the Internal Revenue Service on the Real Economic Impact Tour. And the Real Economic Impact Tour is a national partner movement of over, I think, almost 900 partners nationwide in 100 cities. And its main goal is to improve the economic lives of people with disabilities. And again, want to just thank all of our sponsors for the opportunity to continue this work. The tour is in its 8th year, and we are very, very excited because at the end of 2011, all of you that have helped us, we actually have served over 1 million taxpayers with disability with tax refunds of over $1 billion. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Nakia Matthews, who does the IT for NDI, for a couple of technical housekeeping items before we get started. Nakia.
Hello. First, I wanted to say if you experience any technical difficulties during the webinar, send me a message using the chat box, or you can email me at nmatthews@ndi-inc.org, and I'll try to assist you. Note in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, we have closed captioning available for participants who are deaf or hard of hearing, or English is a second language. You can down this window if you don't want to see it by minimizing that window. You can make the multimedia window bigger by minimizing the chat or Q&A windows. The presentation, if we leave the PowerPoint to share the presenter's desktop, you see the closed captioning on the right-hand side of your screen. The webinar is an open forum, so if you have any questions during Kate's presentation, just type them up in the chat or Q&A box to either me or Caroline Burke, and we'll field the questions as they come in. If you're listening by phone and not logged into the webinar, you may also participate by emailing questions to me at nmatthews@ndi-inc.org. Please note this webinar is being recorded, and the materials will be placed on the National Disability Institute website at www.realeconomicimpact.org. And turn it back over to Johnette, who will introduce today's presenter.
Thank you much, Nakia. It's a great honor to introduce Kate Bradley Chernis, and she is an alumni of the XM site radio and the virtual alphabet soup of radio stations, where she's been acknowledged for setting audience listening and fundraising records. And as music director of the Loft at XM, she I think, served about 20 million listeners and created and managed the first ever XM channel listener newsletter. We're honored to have Kate as part of the Real Economic Impact Tour. I think this is her 3rd year in assisting us with the social media component, particularly with the MyFreeTaxes campaign that we're doing with United Way Worldwide, One Economy, through funding from Walmart. So welcome, Kate.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Janet. I had my mute button on. So thank you very much, Janet and Nakia. Can you hear me?
With you now, yep.
Okay, great. Good. I was talking to myself for like 30 seconds. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So we're going to start with a screen share, and I'm just going through some technical difficulties here. I'm clicking share my desktop, and it's not or anything. So I'm just sort of there after it's working. So the goal today for you is to really take a look at the experience that NDI's REI Tour has had over the past few years with the MyFreeTaxes campaign and our social media efforts, and sort of let you know about what the work has been there and how you can take the same ideas and benefit from them in your own programs, which is sort of where we're focusing on this model. There's been a lot of great success with MyTaxes. I just want to quickly define, what that is and add on to a little bit of what Johnette said. So it's a free tax campaign. It's a national effort. The goal is to provide free tax help to individuals and families who qualify. Sponsored by Walmart, and REI Tour is in partnership with One Economy and United Way Worldwide. So it's a wonderful collaboration between these partners to help get word about this incredible free service. And our goal is to target low to moderate income individuals and families and provide free online tax filing. There's also a national tour that's staffed with an IRS certified volunteer, as well as labs to bring online access so people can file all over the country. We also work with VITA centers, thousands of them across the country as well. And then NDI's REI Tour really helps provide accessibility of this free tax filing for people with disabilities. That's the general overview of the partnership. One of the reasons we started pursuing social media at a sort of great effort last year for sure, and then definitely this year in this MyFreeTaxes campaign is because the overwhelming statistics that have been coming out, as you may or may not know, we couldn't say no to this anymore. So there was this question, for many, is what's happening with the digital divide? Really, is our audience out there using social media? And in fact, even more, the answer is overwhelmingly yes. So 54% of adults living with a disability use the internet. So that's 26 million people, right? 1% of those have access at home, meaning they don't have to go to a library or someone else. They're using it very regularly. 44% of all Americans or check email or the internet on their phone, on their smartphones, which is important because smartphones have been thought to be sort of elite, but they're becoming more and more mainstream at a very high rate, of about 10% each year. 90% of all Americans own a mobile phone. 82% of those owners have a household income less than $50,000. So that tells you it's our group, right? And this stat came out just recently. Older Americans, 55 and over, the fastest growing segment of mobile phone users, which is interesting because, as you know, many baby boomers are aging, and those will be adding to the disability population as well. And before, the way of thinking was that older Americans aren't using this technology, but in fact, they are. And so that low-income households are spending more time on the internet actually than others, and part of that is because many of the stigmas that those might feel are gone. It's leveling ground in general for anyone on the internet. So, especially people with disabilities and people who may not otherwise have access to information, are able to find it and feel very comfortable getting it on the internet, perhaps more so than other past ways. And mobile web, meaning your phone, is developing 4 to 8 times as fast as the use of computers. So it's set to take the use of computers worldwide by 2014. And people who are using those phones to participate in social media on Twitter and Facebook, it's overwhelming. So 44% of Twitter users use Twitter on their phone, And on Facebook, that's about 500 million people doing the same thing, or it's over 200 million out of 500 doing the same thing. So that is also telling us that we wanted to be able to reach this audience where they are. They're online in one way or the other, from their phone or however. So it's important for us to be able to connect with them in a way that's easy, to get access to our information. So why why we're looking at this format, and many of you obviously understand the value of social media. The tricky part is like getting it to work, right? So questions that came in, we had some great feedback from all of you in the questionnaires, and thank you very much. And some of those questions were about, how do I convince my boss that this is a valuable service, or like there was lots of questions that are more about like the return on investment. So for us, here's some great numbers. In 2011, so 28,000 people visited MyFreeTaxes.com as a direct result of social media, with 50% more than the year before, okay? In January of this year, just 3 weeks into the campaign, we had 37,000 visits, so that's more than all of last year combined. 3 times as many as that January from last year, which is pretty impressive. We were able to surpass well-known national brands like H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, TurboTax on social media mentions in Twitter, and we're not a national brand by any means. And also our total social media impressions this year, so the first 3 weeks of the campaign, are at about 1.1 million. So it means like all the times people were able to access or register the idea of MyFreeTaxes.com on social media spaces. So the good news is, to achieve that kind of success, it's not because United Way, Walmart, our tour, and our economy are doing all of the heavy lifting. What we're actually doing is using our network of organizations like you to help us. So I want to show you is that this idea and this kind of success, anyone can achieve it, and it takes a little while to do, but you can as well. So we'll talk about the deeds of that. Okay, so that was like the overview of kind of why and what the campaign is about. So from reading questionnaires, I understand that there's a lot of different levels of social media expertise, from folks who have never tried it to folks who have very specific questions. So I'm going to do my best to walk them around. Maybe too much for some of you and not enough for others. So I want to really encourage you to ask those questions and certainly interrupt. Again, I'll do my best to try to hit both here. But we're going to start out with the big 3. So some of you, this might be review, but just hang there. Or Facebook, LinkedIn, way for you to identify what's what is think of it as a source for news. So because a lot of people access Twitter on their phones, they very quickly get news about the world. And, it's briars in Texas or, floods or political events. It's the number one way people are getting their news as fast as they possibly can. And because it's so news-driven, many contacts that people have on Twitter are not necessarily people they actually know. And that's okay. That's part of the deal there. On Facebook, you really know everyone pretty well. And that is because Facebook is driven by photos. It was started because of photos. Facebook is a photo book of people at school, essentially. And the photos on Facebook make it very connective. There's human faces. This is why probably most of you, if you're on Facebook as an organization, you probably would find great success there, as many nonprofits do as well, because there's here to convey emotion on Facebook because really of the images, of the photos. LinkedIn, you can get the Rolodex for business, where business-related information shared. You might be saying that YouTube is missing, and it is, because for purposes, we're just going to focus on these 3 today. We're really focusing on more of a text campaign. So just kind of go with me. I'm also going to focus on LinkedIn way less, but it still has some essential value, and we'll get into why. And I'm also going to cover time management and all kinds of other questions that you've had. So do that at any point that you cannot do this, because I want you to feel empowered and as though you can by the end of this. Okay. So one of the reasons we're focusing on those three, Facebook and LinkedIn, is because they're really some of the large drivers of what's called search engine optimization. Okay, so what is that? That's like a big, long word. SEO means when you type in something on Google, when you're searching for something, Google then goes out and scours the entire web for anything that has a keyword related to the words you typed in, and pulls it up on a list of 10 on the first page, or 10 things that it thinks you're asking for. Part of it is about what you've asked for, but part of it is because everyone on the web is doing search engine optimization or manipulating their text so they get pulled up in that list near the top. They're trying to guess what keywords you'll put in so they can come up in your search, okay? So it's important because you have to be found, right? So one of the things that is sort of interesting is that I'm going to show you an example right now of a search. So when I searched myself, my company, Outlandos Media, and I think my screen share just ended for some reason.
Hey, you have your web browser open?
Let me just go back. There we go.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. So when I search for Outlandos Media, I come up in all those locations, okay? You can see that the biggest pullers here are Facebook, LinkedIn. There are these like secret gremlins that work for Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter that just by having a page there put you up higher in search. I mean, it's really, really amazing. So that's one of the reasons that if you do nothing else, just to go and grab the names that go with Facebook. So you would want to have, your organization's name there, facebook.com/ whatever it is. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. But so what's interesting about this to me especially is that the name of the company, it's a made-up word, not patented, not Spanish. Outlandos. It was the title of the first Police record, Sting's band. So of all 10 searches, I have 7, and those are on the bottom 2. So know that I'm not more popular than Sting at all, because I'm using search engine optimization so that I get to be found first, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do this as well. So that's one of the things there. And the other reason to do it is the brand recognition. So when you're in a Facebook page for yourself or a page, you want to try to have the same name across each thing. So it's facebook.com/John@Hartnett, twitter.com/John@Hartnett, right? As much as you possibly can, because all of that contributes to this sort of thing. And then the thing is that Twitter is very easy for you to do that, but Facebook and LinkedIn do not. I don't know why. They like to keep these things hidden. And this, I'll show you some places where this information is so you can find it. But with Facebook, you go to facebook.com/username, and screen share keeps unsharing me, but there we go. We're back again. So facebook.com/username is what's in the add bar, and you let whatever your page you want, and check the availability to do that. So that's how you do it for Facebook. And LinkedIn, I do the same thing. So now they allow you to have LinkedIn company pages here, LinkedIn.com/company, and where you can create your own company page name. And you can do things like, I haven't filled this out for me, like, because the shoemaker has no shoes. But you can create products and services, and you can actually tell people about your organization here and, what you do. Which, again, anything type on all of these sites pushes that search engine optimization piece even higher. Okay, so I'm going to keep moving. I'm sure there's some questions. Just hang on for a little bit. So the questions that you had, which were wonderful, asked about, like, how do you make it work? How do we make content that either gains more followers or creates a conversation or gets the word out? And there's a lot of factors. But the biggest one, somebody asked specifically, what's the biggest mistake nonprofits make on social media? And this would be it, is they forget to be human. So remember, it's a conversation. It's two-way. And the reason people connect with other people, stories and people. So icon doesn't really convey a human, but a photo does, right? You and someone do their taxes, a photo of you at an event, those kinds of things, which is why, again, Facebook seems to have a lot more success for nonprofits because it's really photo-driven. I think this is being interesting. So, there's a lot of people trying to get all of our attention online. So, like, the phrase check out is one that drives me crazy because there's no value. It's not telling for me in any way, right? And so let me give you some ideas, or one idea in any case, of like personal way, and then I'll give you like a business way of more social on social media spaces. For me, this is my Twitter page, and new business pieces here, right? I'm talking about today's events. I read NDIs, research about the MyFreeTaxes tour, a conversation with Sweet Caroline. But I also went to see a concert the other night. So it was a Beatles covers band. And so I got a lot of conversation going with my fan base because they want to know that I do more than just work. Right? This is a personal page, right? So this is not necessarily for your organization. But this is a way to do it. So I'm quoting the Beatles here. Just ran a comb across my head because I'm going to see the Beatles. And kinds of things are ways that you can be conversational and human. And I know it sounds kind of but when people understand that you have something in common with them, they're more likely to, number one, approach you, and number two, help you in your information. So that's why. Something we see overwhelmingly is the case on social media. So I'll give you a quick example. I asked an organization that I work with to take posts that the organization was writing on Facebook and once a week to post it on their personal Facebook pages with friends, okay? And we did that for a few months. And I went back and looked, and I saw our Facebook shares and likes and all the conversation on Facebook increased 20% during that time. And it was because people connect with people and icons. So their friends were interested in what they were doing at the organization because you knew the humans behind the icon, the logo, so to speak, right? So, it's interesting and true. And here's another example of like some of the ways you can use it for business, like being more approachable that way. So this is a couple of posts that we wrote, and all of you have this stuff, by the way. In your invite, you were given a couple of documents. The one, which is the Twitter and Facebook brand content, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and also given the how-to that talk about all the stuff we're talking about today. So part of that, let me go back to my Facebook page here. It's I pulled out a couple of examples to show you. So there's been some questions about Twitter versus Facebook, and are they different spaces? And in fact, they are. there's a different language on both of them. On Twitter, you'll see there's weird ways of talking, right? So there's a dollar sign, don't waste money, instead of the word money. There's this bizarre thing called a hashtag. That's the number sign in front of the word taxes or in front of the word free. And what it is, it's an indexer that when you post on Twitter, it actually turns into a link, and you can go see whatever happened that day under that link. So I'll do it for you right here. So we have the link free. There's a hashtag in front of it, which makes it link. If you click the word free, you can of other things that had free in it that day. And the reason we use the hashtags that we did as pre-written content, we research them. So we're thinking way in ahead here, like what are some of the most searched words on Twitter? Money, free, taxes, among others. There were so many. But again, so on Twitter, it's shorter because you have 140 characters. It's a very limited space to say something in. At Facebook, you have a lot longer. I think it's 420. It might even be longer at this point. And also on Facebook, it's more casual and conversational. You can see I wrote this, so I put a little of my personality in it. I say folks. I don't really say people generally. And smiley face, So it's just sort of casual, warm, approachable. I also used a lot of words in both of them that we did research on that we know people wanted to see associated with or hear associated with the word taxes. So safe, secure, fast. Getting your money or refund back quickly. That was another key thing that we found. And also, there's a couple of calls to action right there. Don't waste. File free. It's really heavy on the verbs, okay? So this is all what I call strategic language, and we could go into it for like an hour. I'm not going to. But the good news is, create this for you. So we did the heavy lifting for our local partners with the campaign. So I'm looking back at that document that you all received access to that you may not have downloaded yet. But the goal here was to take these ideas I'm talking about and to take the time out of it for our local partners so they didn't have to use all these hashtags or know what words to use or that long word. And put them all down in one place, and we made them so that they could even customize them themselves. And we even wrote separate broadcasts on Twitter and Facebook. So time management is, very happy here. All you have to do is copy and paste it onto your social media pages. And the reason we gave all of you access to this is because if you wanted to use it, feel free. If you wanted to look at the ideas and learn from them on your own campaigns, then also feel free. But we want to show you sort of like how we set it up so that if you're thinking about doing a campaign, maybe it's 2 months long or 3 months, here's a great way to do it. There's a calendar there. You've got your content. There's a fund that counts the characters so we know they're under 140, a topic about what it is you're promoting, and, different things like that. So on this document, you should know that the piece we gave you, it's the second tab, is a list of all the partners that are all local partners and national partners that are involved. So what we did was we went to everybody's website and looked at their Twitter and Facebook accounts if they had them, which was great because it gave us really detailed ideas of what was going on, just like you all gave to us with your questionnaires today. I took a look, and the data that collected is sort of not surprising. It's what we knew. So most of the sites all have Facebook pages that are affected, as opposed to a lot have Twitter pages, but most on Facebook. And you can see that many of them don't have those vanity URLs yet. Right? So it's very hard to find them. Find them online. Don't use a vanity URL on Facebook itself. Just so you know, if you're on Facebook, to search for does always come up. So use this search function. Like, oh, I know Dunkin' Donuts exists or whatever. You could get, I don't know what I'm going to do this, but you could get like 20, all these different sites, and you have to sort of figure out what the one is, right? So what's great about having this list for you, for everybody, is that you can actually go in and follow. And I would encourage you do this. You don't have to be a partner to do this. Go and follow or like all of these people if you have a Facebook or Twitter account, because that's going to get you instant audience. I know what happens when you follow people on Twitter or Facebook. They follow and like you back. So it's two-way, and it's a very easy way to increase reach quickly and to also just kind of interact with other folks in your field and see what they're doing and hopefully learn from their practices. So I'm going to break here in just a second before we get this part. But the idea with the strategy for MyFreeTaxes.com was basically that. Let's do these two things that have been working. Let's ramp them up. But we're listening to our locals, and the locals keep telling us we don't have a lot of time. We don't have time to do it. We don't have time to educate ourselves so much about all the nuances of it. Yet we want to learn. So we say, okay, well, let's try to be as helpful as possible. Let's try to take as much time out of the equation for you as possible, but at the same time to coach you along the way. So the next section, and I'm going to take a break, is that part. We're going to go nuts and bolts. I'm going to show you really the tools that not only the national partners use to do this, but the same tools that you can use, and they're all free, which is highlighting, and the time saving that you get from using these tools, you're just going to be very excited. So the campaign that we wrote, which I think there were 100 pieces of Twitter and Facebook posts there, you could actually program it all quite easily, I'd say in an hour or 2 hours for a 3-month campaign. So 2 hours for 3 months worth of content. Right? Okay. That's all. Stay for 1 second. Are any questions, Nakia?
I don't got any questions in yet. And you guys, if you have questions, you can go ahead and send them into me, Caroline, and we'll field them to Kate, so Kate won't have to be trying to pay attention to this while she's presenting. I did have a quick question, though, Kate, or a question I think a lot of people might find useful.
Sure.
What do you think is sort of, if I'm an organization or a group starting out, we have no social media spaces. I know which one to pick. Do I start on Facebook? Do I start on Twitter? Do I do both? Like, what do you think is a good strategy for sort of choosing a network and choosing how many networks to join?
That's a great question, Nakia, and I bet a lot of people have it too. So I personally would choose one. The first thing I would do actually is to be very upfront about how much time you have. So who in the organization is doing this? Do you have 5 hours a month? Do you have 2 hours a month? Do you have 10 hours a month? To really think about that, what that is. So let's say you have 2 a month. I would say Facebook, if you had one, that would be the one. Definitely. The good news, as Nikki knows, is that you can actually link Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and other places together so that if you post on one, it replicates on the others. That's sort of a little complicated for today. Once you have it set, it's much easier, right? But you do that. The reason you want to do that is it's a time saver, obviously. The reason you don't want to do that is because there are the different languages on each site, right? So Facebook, like we said, people talk a little bit differently than they do on Twitter, and it shows that they don't really respond as well if Twitter language is showing up over. But don't tell me when I said that. So if I had no time, that's what I would do, is I would link them all. And actually, I'll show you how to do that right now. Like, basically, you just start with Facebook, and you go to the apps section. So or the apps. I think they're facebook.com/apps. And you search for the apps of each of these social media spaces. So I think you could search for like LinkedIn. There's LinkedIn app. And once you find it, and I'm going through this quickly, there are different ways that it'll walk you through it, but what you do so the goal is you find the apps in Facebook, let Facebook help you connect everything up. And if you need detailed help in doing this, I'm sure Nakia or I could help you in the future. But you can also just Google it. If you said, how do I link Facebook to Twitter, you'll get a bunch of really easy to understand directions. But I want you to know that, it's possible. All that said, if you like, another half an hour, and even if you only want to use just Facebook, if you can at least grab the vanity URLs from your accounts, then do that so you own them. It's like a property grab, right? So you want to be facebook.com/xyz:123-name question, right? You want to be facebook.com/Nakia Matthews. Okay, any more questions right now?
I don't think there are any right now.
Okay, silence is good. It's so hard. You can't hear everybody. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. So the tools that we love using, right, and I know Nakia does as well, are Google Docs, which helps you organize content, which helps you create short links, and HOOTSUITE, which helps you schedule your broadcast. And I'm going to define all of those things, don't worry. These are free organization and time management aids that are complete lifesavers in 1,000 ways. So Google Docs is the one we'll start with. If you've never used Google Docs, I think I'm going to change your life right now, I hope. So what Google Docs allows you to do is to create and share content in real time a cloud. So what does that mean? For example, if me, Nakia, Johnette, and Caroline are all working on a spreadsheet, normally the old way is I send it to them. They would make changes. I'd have to figure out whose changes were what, or at least compile them in some way. And oh gosh, remember where the most final version is in my folders, et cetera, et cetera. So with Google Docs, that goes away because the document is always live. So I can type and change on Google Docs that I created, and so can Nakia, and so can Johnette at the same time, which is really handy and quick. So that's how we created this content for you. We created this massive file here. You can see there's about like 20 tabs. This is a big spreadsheet on Google Docs. And we started with a lot of our ideas from last year. So we list all of the online properties of everybody involved, MyFreeTaxes.com, RealEconomicImpact.org, right? We put together associated information with it that would help us write. What are the hashtags that we research? There they are. What are people's, addresses on Facebook? We even, thought out like some of the content from last year. So we have a whole tab devoted to key messages, like we want to make sure to incorporate in the writing kind of thing, different stats, different things that. There's so many things that we're doing on a day-to-day. We even wanted to have a little calendar schedule, who's doing what is the deliverable, who's in charge. And I'm showing you this because this is a great way for you to save time organizing, where it is with your staff or any project that you have. And we also content that you now all have access to as well. And as we were writing it, we were able to make little notes. So we highlighted our top 10 favorites, and we decided that, those successful before, to make sure to keep using language like that, So an example would be this idea of starting with the word fact. We saw that got some good traction this year. Or using a question. So what would you do with an extra $2,000? These things we knew were working, so we wanted to do more. Did you know or have you heard these kinds of strategic language elements, right? I mentioned before. So that's Google Docs. You can get it by going to Googling Google Docs. You can create a free account. There's so many easy to understand videos to show you how to use it. You can upload and share photos, PowerPoints, Excel documents, Word documents, pretty much, name it. It's a cool time saver. And so that's what we used when we were creating our content for you. And if you're doing this, so it's got the date set up here. It's got our notes and our character count, like I said. But I would, so say one of you had a 3 campaign starting this summer. I'd put every date in the summer there, and then I would sort of make a note about maybe different things going on. Okay, this is our organization anniversary. This is the kickoff date, or whatever so speaks here on this day. And then you write content to go around that. You can write content in advance of the event. 2 weeks left till our big annual board, or whatever it is you want to do. So this is do this. The next little trick that we use is called Bitly, and this is a short link business. So if you were mystified by a short link before, I will demystify it for you now. So as you've seen before, if you look at my address bar here, this is a very long link, and on here especially, since you're limited to the amount of words you can use, it's 140 characters, you want to have shorter links because this takes up a lot of space of stuff I could be doing. So use Bitly. You go to bitly.com, and again, this information is all in that how-to kit you have. And you create an account, and you take your long link, and you stick it in the box, and you paste it. There it is, that long link. And look, now it's a short link, which is amazing. And that link actually lives for up to a year, but longer if it continues to be clicked. So it lives, in perpetuity, essentially. And what it is, you can actually customize that so it doesn't just say A51HPZ, whatever. For example, a link to be bit.ly/MyFreeTaxes, okay, which is still a lot longer than http://www.myfreetaxes.com. It bought us a few characters. And with Bitlinks, you can track them. So that's the other reason to use them. You can track the links very specifically. And with the customizing, that's great because when people know what a link is by customizing it, they're more likely to click it because they trust you. They don't think it's spam. Right? That's why you do that. It also helps you visually know where it goes, right, as you're keeping track of the ones you've made. So the short link is one you can tell we use quite a lot. And the benefit here is that look at what I can see for free. I can track what's happening here. 15% of the clicks on this link came from Facebook. 18% came from Twitter. That's what that is. This is also another Twitter. These are two different ones. Obviously, we weren't doing the campaign during this time, but now we're back to promoting it again, so you can see it popping up, and you can check, past, present usage. It's great. I can see all my Facebook shares, likes, 9, whatever. So what's wonderful about this is it allows you to adjust things. So if I didn't see this spike, because we did a big push, right? So I'd have to go in and adjust, what happened. I can also actually go in and click this day where I get 8 clicks, okay, February 2nd. And then I would go back to, was that February 2nd? 22nd, February 2nd. Then I went back to my listings, and I looked. I'd done this for myself. I might look on, February 2nd, which I would have all my calendar dates here, and find out what I wrote that day. That drew a lot of traffic, right? So cool. We don't have time, so I'm going to keep going here. What else is great, nice little handy tool, is this wonderful magical place called HOOTSUITE that allows you to take content, like the ones we created for you here, or here is your version, and copy and paste it and schedule it in advance in one place so that it then disperses to all of your social media things throughout the campaign over time. So you, in one time, it knows to pop it out next Friday, next Saturday, whatever. So it's called HOOTSUITE. It's free. And this is all written down in your how-to guide. And you go to hootsuite.com to set up sort of for your account. So you can see here's Twitter, this is Facebook for this particular organization. You get what's coming up. These are pending stream posts that have been scheduled. And what's happened in the past as well. You can see it all here. And here's how you do it. So to your content that you've created already, and grab it and copying it. Then I HOOTSUITE, and I go in the compose message department, and I bring that content in there. And then choose, do I want it to go on Twitter or Facebook? I'm going to say both. Just do it on both. I'm going to roll. Then I'm going to schedule, even because I put it on Facebook, it even lets me choose a picture, just like Facebook does. Or I can say no thumbnail. Then I'm going to schedule it. I can choose any day for, a lot of time in advance. I could do, June. And what time. I have it email me so I know it goes out. And then just click schedule. And with that, I'm not going to know, but when I did, it would here, right? See what's coming. You literally take all of this content, copy it into HOOTSUITE with your schedule times, and be done with marking for next time, in about 2 hours. We'll at least share, which is great. Okay, so let me try to move quickly so we can get to questions at the end. So the return on investment was a big topic for many of you, and so hopefully we some quick ideas here, but time management being the big one. So the idea is, like, say you don't have somebody writing pre-written content for you, you can obviously write it yourself, which I know takes a long time, but what I always think is it's already always there. So for example, if you have flyers for events, someone wrote something, so I take the flyers and take pieces of the content from there. You can write it from there. You really rarely have to start from scratch to promote an event, because someone usually has done it in an additional way. The text is around somewhere, or maybe it's a page already on your website. You can take that text and just bite-sized little pieces out of it. Having the goals is important. So just really broadcasting random things won't do for your organization or your campaign. So you want to think about that, like, okay, we want to do a fundraising campaign. It's going to last for 3 months. Our goal is to get 100 new members, and so in order to do that, we're going to broadcast on Facebook this many times, Twitter this many times, send out this many newsletters, whatever. You want to very specifically plan out what you do and then adjust it regularly. So if it's going on for 2 weeks, look at everything. Is it working? No? Okay, well, we need to kind of step up the efforts. With the strategic language, we have a couple of tips there, but hopefully, because we can't go into so much detail, you can use the pre-written content we did for this campaign and look at the ideas and please steal them. Use the same sort of ideas that we had. Personal participation is the most important thing. So as I told with that little arrow before, like, the more you directly are involved as a person, the more others will feel like they trust your organization and feel comfortable sharing your messages. And no one knows that or does that better than Nakia, frankly. She's a powerhouse when it comes to doing that, and it shows. So AI's Real Economic Impact Tour was one of the top 10 drivers of social media traffic to MyFreeTaxes.com this year so far, like the first 3 weeks. And it's because not only is she using the messages we created, but she's responding to other people who share them and or ask about them. You know, she has a personality, and it's very clear in the stuff that she's writing. And we didn't talk much about leveraging, but I will quick. So for those who are time managed crunched especially, leveraging is a wonderful way to get help from others. So if you were having a fundraising campaign, for example, you could go to, say, the 5 partners you might have that you say probably have bigger newsletters than you, or maybe it's some connection to your board members, whatever. And you could say to them, hey, I wrote you a small paragraph putting our membership drive. Would you be willing to publish it in your newsletter? And they yes. And they do, and I would die if I didn't see you had a bump in traffic that day, because you do. And that's the idea of like trying to use others' networks to leverage your own thing. And they're most likely to say yes to you if you actually are participating with them in social media. So Nakia shares and likes other organizations' content on a constant basis, because when she has a campaign, it's much easier for her to go to them and say, hey, will you help me out? Because if they say yes, because she's, you know, subtly helping them out on, right? And there's this tracking business. So Twitter and Facebook and Bitly and HOOTSUITE, they all have free tracking stuff woven into it, so you can really look and see how you're doing. Another long conversation, but it's available. It's important just to kind of take a temperature of the work you're doing and make sure it's actually working. So I'll leave you with one major thought, which is participate. Nothing more powerful, even if you don't get the benefit of it just yet, you will, trust me, than you individually participating. You, not your organization. So you'll learn the fastest if you have a Facebook account for your friends and family, or if you have your own Twitter account. And you'll start to, there will be an aha moment, and you will get it and get the value of it. And if you're looking for very smart but not over top and layman's term kind of updates on social media, I wanted to recommend this. It's a newsletter. It's wonderful. It gives you bite-sized pieces of the list and greatest information in a way that doesn't make you feel dumb, and it'll be a quick way for you to like stay familiar with some of the language out there. Okay, so that was a lot. Questions? How do I get back to this?
Okay, we
I'm going to stop sharing.
One really good question come in. Shell Nowers asks, for LinkedIn, do you recommend creating a company page or a group page for your organization? I actually gave Michelle my opinion, and I can share as well, but I'd like to hear yours also.
Sure. So that's a good question, and let's talk about LinkedIn and Facebook when it comes to groups. So I would recommend a company page for both. A group is good. This is hard to, if you have no time on LinkedIn, company page for sure, because you won't have to do a lot of management there, and you can link Twitter to it so it stays active kind of without you, which is great. A group on LinkedIn especially requires a lot more effort on your part, and I have a feeling that for many of you, if you have a group, they're going to also assembled on your newsletter list, and so I'm not I feel like you'll be doubling up, frankly. But hey, if you've got the time to do it, then do it. I'm not saying it's bad. I just, okay. So I'll let Nikki answer. But the other thing about Facebook is Facebook groups, outdated. Get rid of them. Get yourself a profile page, like for a number of reasons. They're very hard to be searched. They can be hard to join, and they're passé. So if you are a Facebook group, you need to make that change to a Facebook company page.
I agree. You know, I said a company page is really great, not only for sort of being able to be found, but also if your employees are listing themselves on LinkedIn and, you know, sort of their resume, they think their company, I work for this company, and then that company has a page, it becomes a clickable link, and then you can see other people that work for that company as well. So I think a company page is always very important. One thing I did mention to Michelle and a group that I also work for, Burton Blatt Institute, they're a organization within Syracuse University. So when I list myself as an employee on LinkedIn, I have to list work for Syracuse because that's the company I work for, right? But Burton has a group, right? They want to have a presence on LinkedIn, but they're not really like a freestanding company. They're very interactive. They talk a lot of back and forth, a lot of sharing. They work with a lot of different people from different organizations. So that's one instance where a group is sort of a good thing to have on LinkedIn when you're sort of a sub-coalition or a very interactive kind of chatty group. But definitely a company page, just at least, you know, having your logo and the ability for any staff members, board members, interns to be able to say, I have worked here, really makes you look good on LinkedIn.
So what about, if there aren't any other questions, I just wanted to address, there were a couple that I received that were interesting. I wasn't really sure, I was sure. Somebody asked, is there a way to include a site schedule on a Facebook page? And the answer to that is yes, there is. It's a longer conversation than we have for the moment. What you need is an app called Facebook Events. So you would go to Facebook, and I think in your search bar, you type events, and there's the app. And the options probably are not totally, but you create an event, and then essentially will appear on your page. So I'll show you what that looks like. So MyFreeTaxes.com has their events logo here. That's the app. You have to add that to get it. They list all of their events here. The other question that was interesting was somebody asked how to prevent the abuse of social media, and I'm not exactly sure which abuse they mean, but if they're talking about spam, there's a lot of spam blockers in play, so you won't really see that much of it. I mean, it's way better than your email, I'm sure, which is kind of amazing. But you know, I know by use if you mean like doing it too much, or I think questions about that. So, you know, ideally you're posting on Twitter and Facebook twice a day. I'm sure none of you have time for that. Once a day would be wonderful. Once a week is fine, but regularity is more important than anything. It depends on your what time available you have to do that.
I also think that question may have been sort of around like company policies for social media and sort of employee conduct when it comes to how you talk to organizations in social media. And that's sort of a larger level conversation that is going on as social media evolves.
Yeah. Well, the rule, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I know there's a minute left, but you know, so to answer them, the rule is never publish anything anywhere that you don't want on NBC News. That's it. Because I can find it. Whether you've got marked as personal or not, and so can your employer, and so they can find it. I'm telling you now. It's key.
I think we're just about at time.
Well, yes, so thank you, Katie, and thank you, Nakia. I think it was a great session, and I continually learn as I sit in on these great calls about the tremendous opportunities, and what really is amazing is so much is free. And obviously there's a lot of questions for other webinars on the topic. just want to thank everyone for taking the hour out of your day, and I hope this helped you, and thank you so much.
Good night.
You're welcome.